Well, welcome to another edition of Survival Stuff with Indiana Jim, sponsored by Live Free USA and AmericanSurvivor.org. I am James C. Jones, and I do live in Indiana, but Indiana Jones was taken, so it's Indiana Jim to you. This is on behalf of Live Free USA, America's oldest and most respected survival organization, established back in 1968. We were established to promote and educate and help families be better prepared for emergencies. We're a nonprofit, tax-deductible organization, sponsored only by memberships and contributions. So today, I'd like to talk a little bit about organizing preparedness groups, organizing survival teams, that kind of thing. I've written several articles about this in our newsletter, American Survivor, which is available to members online. We've had a lot of experience. We've been doing this since 1968, so we've seen a lot of survival groups come and go. Survival clubs, survival associations, family groups, all these kind of things come and go over 50 years watching this happen and being able to observe what works and what doesn't work. We actually, Live Free USA started as a local family survival group in south side of Chicago, believe it or not, back when in the Cold War days. We later expanded into a national and sometimes even international preparedness advocacy organization that we are now today. But we started out as a survival club or a survival group. In fact, we branched out and created quite a few other survival groups over the years. We have survived and grown, whereas other groups have faded away. We've seen many groups grow, even huge, the survival groups that were way bigger than us. Grew, and then they faded away. We've also seen small survival clubs, so once they got all their stuff together, what are we going to do next? Or maybe the news was better and it looked like in the 90s, looked like the Cold War was over and everything was going to be wonderful. So those groups just sort of fell apart because they didn't have a larger mission. So I'm going to talk a little bit about what works, what doesn't work. If right now we're in a new phase where nuclear war is a possibility. We're seeing, inflation and economic instability and civil unrest and all the other things that have happened that should be telling us that we need to work together as our families, in our neighborhoods, in our communities to create survival and preparedness organizations. We need to be better organized. As Ben Franklin famously said, if we don't all hang together, we'll all hang separately. That definitely applies to the future of self-reliance and being prepared to deal with what's coming down the pipe for us. First of all, I don't want to sugarcoat anything. Building a survival group or a survival network or a survival club is hard work. One of my things that I tell people over the years is 3 out of 4 gatherings and meetings and events and things you try to do will fail. They won't work. 3 out of 4. I can look back and count, we did this, and that didn't work, and this was a flop. But you don't get to know which ones. So you don't get to know which thing you're going to try, or which little meeting you're going to try, or what program you're going to try to operate with that's going to work and which isn't going to work until you try it. So the other important thing I learned is that sometimes when you had an activity or you had a club or you had a little group together or you did an event that you did, it looked like it was a failure, but you know what? We learned something from that. We learned something important or it built, sometimes failures, when you have a really bad outing or a really bad event, it builds unity, wow, we all went through that together. Yeah, that was a big effort. It didn't work out right, but we learned something. Sometimes you pick up that one member or that 2 members that turn out to be your core group, your most important people there. Sometimes the people that went through that, you flake out and some of the people don't come back. So good riddance, you got rid of the weak ones, you got rid of the ones that weren't there for the long haul. These are the times that try men's souls, as they said. You're going to go through those times. So don't be discouraged. So you want to build a firm foundation. This is the most important thing. You have to have a mission and guidelines. So people get together and they talk, let's buy some survival food and you get some water and blah, blah, blah. And I'm worried about the Y2K or whatever the disaster of the month may be. There's no real mission, there's no real guidelines, there's no real where we're going to be a year from now, where we're going to be 2 years from now, where we're going to be 3 years from now. What is our mission? What are we trying to do? What does success look like? You have to be able to define success, and this, by the way, this is a lesson for life as well. You have to be able to know where the heck you're going with your group as you begin to organize and you begin to coalesce and form a brotherhood such. We talk about the brotherhood of the survival pack, those people that have always been ready. That's a brotherhood. Broaden your leadership base. A lot of people are strong leaders. I guess I may be one of those people. And it's hard for me to let go and let other people go, well, you're going to be in charge of this, you're going to be in charge of this, and you're going to be second command, and I'm going to give you this information so that if I'm not around, the group can go on and move on. Once you got that mission, need to get more people involved. One of the problems that we've had now is Live Free USA has chapters, and we have programs to help chapters organize. We have affiliates, groups that are already organized that affiliate with us, so we can help refer members to them and help support activities, that kind of thing. But they have to have that leadership base, because every once in a while, we just had a group recently, the main leader, great guy, passed away. We don't know, we never heard from that group again. We can't help them, we can't work with them because they had a lot of capabilities. We don't even know if that group is still organized. I know at least 3 organizations where the leader, either for one reason or another, became incapacitated or moved out of town or whatever, and they didn't have build a leadership base, and the group just, because leadership and willingness to lead and take charge is a rare commodity, but you've got to build a leadership base of 3 or 4 other people. So when you start your group in the first place, you just want to have that 2 or 3 people working together. That's going to be your core group. Then you expand outward. If it gets too big, you can form other groups. Avoid being a clique. The other side of that danger is you're all buddies, and especially with survival, I don't want people to know what I'm doing, blah, blah, blah. I never agreed with that hunker in the bunker mentality. But anyhow, you become a clique, and any new person feels that they don't belong, they're not welcomed. You want to make sure you avoid that. We want to get politics. For instance, you may have a survival group, and their core mission is survival, preparedness, helping people prepare, and all that. You don't want to get it to the point where everybody has to agree on everything. Everybody has to agree on all the political situations. Everybody has to agree on religious things, whatever. That's not important. Your group, the core group, is like Live Free USA. Live and free. Live and free. Okay, so I've got to remember the free part too. Okay, live free. So you're going to all help everybody stay alive and help everybody stay free. And you don't want to get into those little political things or what I call mission creep, where you start getting into politics, you start getting into religion and all those other kind of things that might be another group or something, but that's not what you're about. Okay, you're about preparedness, survival, self-reliance, and freedom, general freedom. So recognize and reward those who actively support the organization. So, some organizations have a rank. Some of them have elections, like president, vice president, whatever. You may not want to get that formal, or you might. But anyhow, recognize them, thank them, support them. If they have new ideas, get behind them. Find something for everyone to do. If you have good, active people in your group, you have to make sure they have things to do. Or you're going to be in charge of purchasing some equipment. You're going to be in charge of, you're going to go to a survival school, or you're going to take a medical course or whatever, and you're going to come back and teach everybody else what you learned. You're going to be in charge of this. You're going to do this. Can you do this for us? You two or 3 of you get together in a subcommittee to solve this problem that we have. Whatever. If you don't keep those good, active people busy, they're going to find another group, or they're going to just go off on their own. Those are the diamonds of your group, and you don't want to lose them by simply not using them. Like I say, use it, or you'll lose it. And that's especially true with good people. Doing something always beats doing nothing. Okay, simple rule. That just doing something always beats doing nothing. Now, sometimes when you're doing something, it doesn't necessarily wind up being all that creative. May even be a waste of time in some later. But I often wonder, I know I don't want to offend anybody out there, Jehovah's Witnesses. They get out of their car and they come door to door to door to door. And I said, you know, everybody knows that, well, they hardly ever recruit anybody. But they're keeping all their people busy. They're keeping all their people busy, so they're not going to be thinking about other things. They're going and doing other things. People feel good when they're doing things. I'm a part of the Volunteers and Police Service. I'm a part of a number of other things. And I feel really good because I'm out there, I have assignments, and I have things I have to do. So your people have to have things to do. They don't have to be, you know, they have families, they have jobs, of course, all those other things. But everybody has to have things to do. Things need to be continuing, or the group, again, will eventually just die of inactivity. We must be constantly out there gathering new members and to counter attrition. You're going to lose members. They're going to get, they're going to maybe get, complacent and think everything's okay, or they think they're all ready. You're never ready. They're going to get divorces. They're going to get different jobs. They're going to die. They're going to get sick. They're going to, all kinds of things. You're going to lose members. So the only way, you have to be out there a little bit. You can't be totally internalized. You can't be just have your programs internalized and clickish and you don't let anybody else in. So you have to have an active program for reaching out, either by having big events or spectacular things like that, or just by person to person to person. What are we doing about recruiting? Well, I got this friend Charlie I had a little conversation with him. He's sort of interested in this kind of thing. Well, let's bring him to a meeting and let's try to develop him. You have to be developing new members. So your core group can be 2 or 3 loyal, active members, good friends of yours, like Live Free started out with that. It's better than 100 inactive ones. So you better being small and active than big and inactive. Okay. Being ready is never enough. You must have a greater mission. So your mission can't be getting ready for something that may or may not happen. Your mission has to be coping with life situations as we've got now, making people better economically, making people better with jobs, with all the other things, so that the organization is continuously making members better off than if they weren't members, in addition to being ready for the big disaster or the other issues that you're preparing for. That's why I don't like the word prepper so much. I'm a self-reliant. I like to think of myself as a self-reliance practitioner. Okay, so that should be built into your mission, that you're going to be more self-reliant. Everybody's going to be stronger, better together on a day-to-day, and a month-to-month, and a year-to-year basis, in addition to being more and more prepared and self-reliant. Virtual versus face-to-face boots-on-the-ground organizations. Virtual organizations are okay. It's a good place to reach out. The internet, great thing, but you have to get face-to-face. The organizations, especially in self-reliance, you have to actually meet each other. You have to know these people. The thinking that you have an online network for survivors, a survival preparedness group, is just not going to work. It's a great communications tool. Use the technology as tools, but the technology can fail. You have to be self-reliant. So boots on the ground, you have to have gatherings, you have to get training activities, you have to have meetings and those kind of things. 20% of survival preppers don't use the internet at all, by the way. So as a result, you have to be able to reach out to them, but in limited use of the internet in the first place. So if you don't happen to the world's going to happen to you. It's one of my mantras. If things don't happen to things before they happen to you. So you need to start happening to the world. You start happening to your environment, making your environment more safe, more able to withstand the events that are happening. So your family, your community, your associates, your company, you work for, whatever. That's part of your mission, is to make them more able to withstand the challenges that we're facing. But you want to stay on mission, stay on message. So you have that mission, you have goals under that mission, and you continuously refer to that. Well, is this part of our mission? Is this what we should be doing? And then are we accomplishing these goals? And then what new goals do we need to make to support that mission? That's how you organize. Outreach programs. You certainly want to organize outreach programs. Live Free has never subscribed to hunker in the bunker, OPSEC, PERSEC. Well, PERSEC's good, but OPSEC is not so good if you can get too tight. Definitely, you want to have some kind of outreach programs. You want to be part of your community. Now, some groups have like a multi-level where the one level as a group as a whole, they interact with the community. They even sponsor survival speakers in their area. They support different activities in their area that support survival and preparedness overall. So you do have a clear and positive message. We're not ready for doomsday. We're ready to make us stronger. We're ready to make us freer. We're ready to make you feel more secure. You want to be positive. Do have a mission, as I said, to where you'll be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 years from now. Maintain a schedule of activities and keep members involved. Do have and employ leaders and instructors, okay? Now, we talked about mission. I'm going to read off a couple of sample missions that we have. And we have this, by the way, if you contact Live for USA, they can send you that whole package of material about how to organize a chapter and even a leader's handbook that we now have for chapters and affiliate leaders. But here's 5 different missions. You could combine these, or these could be all together. To mutually support each other's efforts to achieve greater levels of self-reliance and independence. There's your mission. To mutually support each other's efforts to prepare for emergencies and disasters. Okay, those are 2 parts of your mission. To cooperate in the acquisition of survival and self-reliance equipment, supplies, and training. A lot of times when a group gets together, they can pool their money and send people to training schools and classes. They can buy books and videos and that kind of thing and share them, and they can get discounts on equipment. That's another thing that you could be in your mission statement. To develop mutually supporting emergency plans for all perceived disasters and threats. So you do a threat analysis. I talk about that in some other programs that I've done. You do a threat analysis, you prioritize what the most likely threats are, and you start to develop plans. So those plans can be evacuation, they can be just gathering together in one place. There be all kinds of things depending. It could be for a flood, a tornado, it could be for World War III, could be civil unrest, or you mutually defense. Maybe you've got a radio network set up where you communicate that there's riots are starting here or whatever's happening. This could be part of your mission. Fifth item on our list of potential missions. To participate in and support local community emergency response and survival education programs. Again, I advocate that while you can certainly keep your personal and your family and your group's special survival plans confidential, you can still at another level, at the outer level of the organization, be involved in your community's survival plans. In other words, you could be helping with the police. I'm a survivalist, and my local people know that. I've known this. People have known this for years. I have never gotten a negative answer. Oh, I'm a survivalist, and I know about preparedness. Oh, I am too. Actually, I got my pack ready. Can you help me out with this? Can you help me out with that? I've never had my corporate people when I was on TV and all the channels in the whole country for a while. The corporate people, I thought, everybody said, gee, Jim's going to get fired. They're going to think you're some kind of nut. I got nothing but support from the corporate people. But it was, we're really behind you, Jim, Got promotions, maybe that helped, I don't know. But anyhow, point is that it's mainstream now, okay? Everybody recognizes that what we do is necessary, and they'd like to get organized, or they'd like to get more help. So don't be so shy, don't be so secretive about it. So, if you want to become part of your volunteerism police service like I am, part of your search program, civilians emergency response team, anything like that, take advantage of that. You can even sponsor, in fact, Live Free provides some funds if you want to sponsor a survival speaker or a survival expo, something like that in your community. But be involved. Don't be hiding in your basement. Okay. A little bit more about organizing. Like I said, you definitely want to build a strong core group. Live Free and a lot of survival organizations that I've been involved with over the years, there's a lot of ups and downs. When everything gets complacent, everybody gets complacent, they think everything's okay, a certain group will just fade away, okay? And you're just as well that they're gone, okay? But that core group, we have a core group within our organization that's formed over the years that we can always rely on no matter what to keep the organization going. Do build good community and be a good neighbor, be a good community member as your organization, as an individual. Do work with and within like organizations, like you might be in your church, might be in your school, might be in a fraternal organization. You can build a survival and preparedness element within that organization. We have some chapters that, they're actually in the church, or they're in, there's like a subcommittee or whatever within the church that helps people get ready for emergencies. And we're involved in supporting that. Now, a couple of things, the do's and don'ts, okay? These are important. Don't get hung up on the apocalypse of the month scenario, okay? Y2K, electromagnetic pulse, the big meteor, you name it. We've heard it, we've seen it, and people get all hung up, and it builds you build up a lot of members who, Y2K is coming, or the big meteor, or we heard the sun is going to be a big solar storm, and it's going to cause everything to go to hell and everything. Okay. Nice to know. Maybe you pick up a few members, but usually those members don't stay around. Don't pay so much attention to the media. Pay attention to the long-term trends, the kind of things that are happening with the economy, the kind of things that happen with China, America's position as a world power fading away. The environment changing. Those are the kind of things you need to have. Don't get overwhelmed with this apocalypse of the month, as I call it, scenarios. You build your organization on long-term overall self-reliance. Don't permit mission creep. You get involved in some big political thing or some local conflict or whatever. Next thing you know, you don't know what you're trying to do. Write that mission down. Stay with that mission. Don't get carried away. The mission creep, you usually divide the organization eventually, and you wind up doing a whole bunch of stuff that has nothing to do with preparedness or self-reliance. Don't compromise on membership quality and affiliation. We've had members come to these groups that brought tremendous amount of skills. They were fanatics, okay, preparedness fanatics. The trouble is that they were also like racists or political extremists, or had been involved in some criminal activities, or maybe just were a little unstable. Maybe they were saying they're going to bring all this equipment in and they're going to do this, but they're going to divide your group up. They're going to cause problems for your group. So be very careful as to who you bring in as members of your group. I don't care what great advantages they have. You got to be very selective. We've had people come in that we almost suspected were brought in just deliberately to sabotage the organization, and we were just very quickly stopped inviting them to meetings, stopped talking to them. Eventually they went away. But you've got to be very careful about that. Don't get discouraged. I think the 11th rule in my 10 principles of survival, my 11th principle is don't give up. Don't get discouraged. You've got to keep trying. You've got to keep working as you move along. You'll have times when it's hard to get things going. You'll have disappointments. That's life. That's the way it is. Anybody who succeeds does so by not getting discouraged. Organizing outreach programs. Now, again, this is something that not everybody agrees with. Maybe you want to stay, enclosed in your little group. But we are mainstream. I just read an article in a newspaper about survival and preparedness being mainstream. I was like, we've been mainstream for a long time. Be proud of your involvement. Be proud of your self-reliance knowledge. Be proud that you're helping your family and you're able to handle these situations better than most people are. We are the solution to today's challenges, not the problem, okay? You cannot be your brother's keeper until you're able to be your own keeper. And we bring this up sometimes. Oh, you're selfish, you got all this stuff and you're not going to help anybody and all this kind of thing. I've had that thrown at me at radio interviews and television interviews. I'm like, well, if you can't be your brother's keeper if you can't be your own keeper. If you haven't taken care of your family and you aren't able to take care of yourself, there's no way you can help anyone else. So the person who is not preparedness, who is not self-reliant, he's the one that's on the wrong side. He's the one that's going to riot. He's the one that's going to loot. He's depending on the system to take care of him. He's going to be the burden as time goes on. He's going to be more and more trouble. You are not. You are a responsible citizen. So be proud, because you'll be able to choose the level of help that you can give to your community. And I think you should be prepared to do some of that. But first you got to take care of yourself and your family. Going underground, as I've said, underground organizations, that's where dead people go, underground. That's where dead movements go. Underground, that's where things go to die. So you don't want to be an underground organization, but you do want to have reasonable caution. So you can organize outreach programs, like you could sponsor a preparedness seminar in your community. Probably your community would be glad for you to do that, and Live Free can help. Preparedness fairs, where you actually invite all kinds of people that sell preparedness equipment. Presentations at civic organizations, churches, veterans groups, where you can get speakers and come in and talk about preparedness, or you can do it yourself. I'm a good speaker. Apparently, I found out that most people don't like to get up in front of a crowd. But anyhow, there are people that will do that. Tables at gun shows. Our organization started having tables at gun shows, and we sell survival books. We buy them at a discount. We sell them. We have literature, free literature out there. We recruit members. We have a clipboard out there. We recruit members. We charge, of course, Live Free charges dues. Again, your organization may want to do that and just put that money toward your programs, or you may not want to charge dues. But this is a place where you will find like-minded folks. Okay. You can even exhibit at county fairs sometimes. We did that. Didn't work out real well, but it's an idea that you can do. Challenges and opportunities. Big and centralized will probably be challenged by the small and localized. So you want to be probably small and localized more than a big centralized organization, just because of the way things are happening in the world. Paradigm shifts are going to result in episodes of conflict, chaos, combined with a variety of disaster scenarios, and we're seeing that already. I wrote some of these things down in the PowerPoint presentation years ago, and now I'm like, well, I don't really have to predict that, because there it is. So there's going to be three kinds of people out there. There's going to be predators, victims, and survivors, okay? We're seeing them arise now out of the events that are happening. There's predators, and they're white-collar predators, and there's all kinds of predators out there. The criminals, but there's also politician predators and all kinds of other people that are preying on people. And there's victims, people who aren't prepared, who want other people to take care of themselves, who will believe anything anybody tells them or anything they see on the internet. And then there's survivors, and that's you. And you'll be informed, and Live Free will help you out in as many ways as we can as we get together and get through the kind of things that we're going to have to get through in the next decades and maybe a century or two. It is our task to assure that citizens, survivors prevail and build the future. That's what we're all about. So I hope this has been informative to you. So until next time, this is Indiana Jim for Life and Freedom. Stay safe out there.